When food becomes the silent enemy, are you listening to your body's signals? Picture this. It's a regular Tuesday afternoon. You've just finished a clean meal, grilled chicken, brown rice, some steamed broccoli, and maybe a little fruit for dessert. You're feeling good about your choices. But within the hour, something shifts. Your belly feels tight and bloated. Your eyelids grow heavy. A strange fog creeps into your mind, making simple thoughts harder to hold on to. You brush it off, again. Maybe it's just age. Maybe you didn't sleep enough last night. Maybe you're just getting old. But what if it's not any of those things? What if it's the food? Not food in general, but certain foods. Foods your body has quietly grown intolerant to. Foods you've eaten your whole life without trouble, but now they're fighting you in subtle, exhausting ways. No swelling, no dramatic allergic reactions. Just a slow, invisible erosion of your energy, focus, digestion, and even mood. I can't tell you how many people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s have sat across from me and said the same thing. I eat healthy, but I feel awful, and no one can tell me why. They've had the tests. Everything looks normal. No food allergies, no disease markers, just a mystery. But here's the thing most doctors don't say. You can be reacting to food even if your blood tests don't show it. These are called food intolerances or sensitivities, and they affect millions of people, especially as we age. Unlike allergies that trigger an immediate immune response, food sensitivities often show up hours or days later, making them hard to trace. One day it's stomach cramps, the next is brain fog, the next is joint stiffness or anxiety. Most people never make the connection between their lunch and their headache, or their yogurt and their insomnia. And because the symptoms aren't dramatic, we get used to them. We start calling them normal. But they're not normal. They're messages from your body asking for help. You don't have to live in that fog. You don't have to accept digestive discomfort, chronic fatigue, or skin issues as inevitable parts of getting older. What if the very foods you believe are nourishing you are actually inflaming you? Here's the truth. Once you identify and remove the specific foods your body no longer tolerates well, you may start to feel like yourself again. Or even better, like a clearer, calmer, more energized version of yourself you haven't seen in years. So if you've been feeling off lately, if your body seems to be changing faster than you can keep up with, if you've started to dread meals because of how they leave you feeling, then this message is for you. You're not broken, you're not imagining things, and you're not alone. Let's pull back the curtain on food sensitivities and finally give your body what it's been quietly asking for.
What are food intolerances and sensitivities, and why do they sneak up on you? Let's clear something up. Not all food reactions involve allergies. Just because you don't break out in hives or rush to the ER doesn't mean your body is fine with everything you eat. Food intolerances are your body's way of saying, hey, I can't handle this, but I'm gonna show you slowly. They happen when your digestive system struggles to break down certain components in food. No alarms go off, no swelling, no dramatic scenes, just discomfort that builds quietly. Lactose intolerance is a classic example. If your body lacks enough lactase, an enzyme that helps digest the sugar in milk, you end up with gas, bloating, cramps, or an urgent trip to the bathroom after a glass of milk or scoop of ice cream. But what about those times you feel foggy after eating bread or exhausted after pasta? That's where food sensitivities come in. These are more complex, often involving delayed immune responses that aren't picked up by standard allergy tests. You could eat a food on Monday and not feel the effects until Tuesday afternoon. That makes them tricky to identify and easy to ignore. And unlike full-blown allergies, which your doctor can test for easily, intolerances and sensitivities often go undiagnosed. Why? Because they're slow, cumulative, and subtle. One meal doesn't knock you down, but repeated exposure over weeks, months, or years, that's a different story. The bottom line? Just because something doesn't cause an instant reaction doesn't mean it's harmless. Your body might be trying to cope with foods it no longer tolerates the way it used to, and it's showing you through fatigue, digestive issues, mood swings, or brain fog. If you've been feeling off and can't explain why, food intolerance might just be the silent thread running through it all.
Food allergies versus food sensitivities. Don't let the quiet ones fool you. When people think about reacting to food, they often picture something dramatic, a swollen face, a rash breaking out, maybe even someone gasping for breath after eating peanuts or shrimp. That's what a food allergy looks like. And yes, it's real, it's serious, and in some cases, it's life-threatening. But that's not the whole story. Because there's another, quieter kind of food reaction that often slips through the cracks. It doesn't cause chaos within minutes. It doesn't send you to the emergency room. Instead, it quietly chips away at your health, your energy, and your peace of mind, day after day. We're talking about food intolerances and sensitivities. And while they're not as dramatic as allergies, that doesn't make them any less real or any less frustrating. Let's break it down in human terms. Imagine you're at a family dinner. Your cousin bites into a shrimp, and within moments, her lips swell, her throat tightens, and everyone panics. That's an allergy, an immediate immune system overreaction. Now imagine yourself. You eat a slice of whole wheat toast for breakfast. Nothing happens, at first. But by mid-morning, you're bloated. By lunch, you feel strangely tired. By dinner, you've got a headache and your mood is off. That's not a coincidence. It could be a sensitivity. The key difference? Timing and severity. Here's how they stack up. Feature: food allergy, food intolerance/sensitivity. Immune system involved? Yes, typically an IgE immune response. Sometimes may involve delayed immune or none. Symptom onset? Fast, within minutes. Delayed, hours to days. Common symptoms? Hives, swelling, shortness of breath, bloating, fatigue, headaches, brain fog. Test availability? Clear, skin prick, IgE blood tests. Often unclear or controversial. IgG, elimination diets. Risk level? Can be life-threatening. Rarely dangerous, but can be life-disrupting. The tricky part is this. Most people assume that if they're not having a scary, allergic-style reaction, they're fine. But food intolerances are like a slow drip. One meal doesn't hurt you, but repeated exposure over time can lead to gut inflammation, hormone imbalances, mood changes, sleep problems, even chronic illness. Another major difference? Allergies tend to be lifelong, while sensitivities can change. Some people develop them as they age. Others improve once they heal their gut or reduce inflammation. So, the next time you brush off your post-meal discomfort, thinking it's just getting older or too much stress, pause for a moment. Because while food sensitivities won't cause anaphylaxis, they can quietly rob you of energy, clarity, and comfort. And the worst part? They often go undiagnosed for years, not because they're rare, but because they're misunderstood. But now you know the difference, and knowing is the first step to feeling better. The subtle clues your body keeps sending. Let's be honest, how many times have you told yourself, it's just age, when something feels off? A little bloating after lunch? Must have eaten too fast. Afternoon fatigue? Probably didn't sleep well last night. That brain fog that makes you forget why you walked into the room? Stress, right? But what if your body has been quietly waving red flags and you've been too busy or too tired to notice? Food intolerances and sensitivities rarely announce themselves loudly. They creep in slowly. Their symptoms are subtle, delayed, and often dismissed. And that's exactly why they're so dangerous, because you might live with them for years without ever questioning your diet. Here are the common signals many people miss. Digestive issues, persistent bloating, gassy discomfort, cramps, constipation, or diarrhea, especially after meals you assume are healthy. Unexplained fatigue, not the kind you fix with coffee, but that deep post-meal energy crash that makes you want to nap in the middle of the day. Skin flare-ups, breakouts, eczema patches, or rashes that seem random but often have roots in what you've been eating. Mood shifts, irritation, low moods, anxious spells that seem to come out of nowhere. Brain fog, that cloudy feeling where focusing becomes a chore and your memory feels just slightly off. Aches of stiffness, especially in the joints or muscles without a clear cause. Sinus congestion or postnasal drip that lingers even without a cold. The truth? These aren't just normal signs of aging. They're often your body's early warnings that something in your daily diet just isn't sitting right. And once you start to connect the dots, the path to feeling better becomes much clearer. The sneaky foods that might be sabotaging your health. Not all bodies react the same way to food, but over the years, certain ingredients have shown up again and again as common troublemakers. And the tricky part? Many of these foods are part of our daily routines. They're in your breakfast, your afternoon snack, maybe even your healthy dinner. Here are some of the most frequent culprits behind food intolerances and sensitivities. 1. Lactose. Found in milk, cheese, cream, ice cream, and even some protein shakes. If you feel gassy, bloated, or urgently need the bathroom after dairy, you might lack lactase, the enzyme needed to digest milk sugar. 2. Gluten. Present in wheat, barley, and rye, so think bread, pasta, crackers, cereals. Even if you don't have celiac disease, you could still experience non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which causes fatigue, foggy thinking, bloating, or joint discomfort. 3. Eggs, especially the whites. They're nutritious, yes, but for some, they quietly trigger inflammation, skin issues, or digestive upset. 4. Soy. A master of disguise, soy shows up in processed foods, sauces like soy sauce, protein bars, and even healthy snacks. It's a common sensitivity that often flies under the radar. 5. Corn. Not just on the cob. Corn derivatives are everywhere. Corn syrup, cornstarch, corn oil, and additives in packaged foods. For sensitive people, corn can mean headaches, bloating, or fatigue. 6. Food additives. Artificial sweeteners, MSG, food dyes, and preservatives can be hard on the body, especially for people with histamine sensitivity or sluggish detox pathways. 7. FODMAPs. This group of fermentable carbohydrates includes garlic, onions, legumes, and certain fruits. They're healthy for many, but can wreak havoc in sensitive guts, leading to gas, cramps, or irregular bowels. 8. Caffeine and alcohol. They're not allergens, but in sensitive individuals, both can trigger anxiety, acid reflux, or poor sleep, especially when consumed regularly. If any of these sound familiar, don't panic. Sensitivities don't mean you have to give up foods forever, but they do mean your body is asking you to pay attention and maybe take a break from certain items to see how you feel. When your body says no, quietly. Emily's turning point. Emily was 52 when she came to see me. She was a former school counselor, sharp, kind, always trying to stay upbeat. But that day, the light in her eyes was dimmed by something deeper than exhaustion. Her complaints weren't dramatic, but they were relentless. I wake up already tired. I bloat after almost every meal. My skin is always itchy, especially around my neck and arms. I feel inflamed, like my body's fighting something, but no one can tell me what. She had done her homework. Blood work, normal. Thyroid function, in range. Celiac test, negative. Lupus, iron, hormones, checked, rechecked, and ruled out. 3 different doctors have told me I'm healthy, she said with a dry laugh. Then why does it feel like my body is falling apart? That was the moment I asked her a question no one else had asked. What if your body isn't broken, just quietly overwhelmed by something you're eating every day? We didn't start with pills. We started with her plate. The experiment that changed everything. Together, we mapped out a 3-week elimination protocol. No fancy supplements, no calorie counting, just removing the biggest known food sensitivity triggers: gluten, dairy, soy, refined sugars, and artificial additives. Week 1 was tough. Emily missed her morning yogurt. She craved her usual sandwich at lunch, but she stuck with it.
And by day 8, something changed. "I didn't need a nap today," she told me, "and my skin didn't itch last night. That hasn't happened in years." By day 14, she said something even more powerful. "I forgot what it felt like to feel normal. My digestion is calm. I can focus again. I'm finally sleeping through the night." But the real test came during reintroduction. We added dairy back in, just 1 serving of cheese and a glass of milk. Within 48 hours, her symptoms came roaring back: bloating, itchy patches on her skin, foggy, heavy thoughts. It wasn't subtle, and it wasn't psychological. Emily wasn't allergic to dairy in the classic sense, but her body had made its message clear. She didn't need medication. She needed awareness and a willingness to listen to what her symptoms had been trying to say all along. How to discover your hidden food triggers. If you've ever felt like Emily, tired, inflamed, dismissed by normal lab results, your body might be trying to tell you something too. And the best way to uncover it isn't through guessing, it's through intentional observation. 1. Start with a food and symptom journal. For 2 weeks, write down everything you eat and how you feel after. Include physical symptoms, bloating, headaches, rashes, but also emotional and cognitive changes, irritability, fatigue, brain fog, low mood. Patterns will begin to emerge. 2. Do an elimination diet, with guidance if possible. Temporarily remove the most common offenders: gluten, dairy, soy, corn, eggs, added sugars, alcohol, caffeine, artificial sweeteners, and preservatives. Stick with this simplified whole food approach for 3 to 4 weeks. Then reintroduce each food, one at a time, every 3 to 5 days, watching closely for any reaction. Remember, this isn't about punishment. It's about gaining clarity. 3. Explore functional testing if needed. While elimination remains the gold standard, certain lab tests can help. IgG food sensitivity panels, stool tests for gut inflammation and digestion markers, microbiome mapping to detect dysbiosis. These tools work best when paired with journal insights, not as a standalone diagnosis. 4. Pay attention to the non-digestive clues. Many people expect food reactions to show up only in the gut, but sensitivities can affect hormones, irregular cycles, hot flashes, mood swings, mental clarity and motivation, joint and muscle pain, skin flare-ups, or even sinus issues. Your food might not be hurting your stomach, but it could be hurting your brain, your joints, or your peace of mind. Listen closely. Your body is speaking. Symptoms are not your enemy. They are signals, messages, sometimes whispers, sometimes shouts. And when you slow down long enough to decode them, you may find that healing isn't about more medication. It's about less inflammation. Emily's journey is not rare. In fact, it's becoming more common, especially in people over 40, when enzyme levels shift, the gut barrier weakens, and chronic inflammation takes root more easily. But it's never too late to turn the volume back down. Listening, repairing, and reclaiming your health. If you've made it this far, chances are you've begun to suspect that your daily discomfort, bloating, brain fog, skin irritation, fatigue, might not just be part of aging. And that's a powerful first step. Healing from food sensitivities isn't about perfection. It's not about being clean or restrictive for life. It's about building a relationship with your body that's based on clarity, respect, and care. So, what does healing actually look like? 1. Return to real food, the kind your great-grandmother would recognize. Start simple. The more ingredients a food has, the harder your gut has to work to process it, and the more likely it is to trigger inflammation. Try this rule of thumb. If it comes in a box or a bottle with more than 5 ingredients you can't pronounce, leave it on the shelf. Focus on fresh vegetables, cooked or raw depending on your digestion. Low-sugar fruits like berries and apples. Lean proteins, wild-caught fish, organic poultry, grass-fed meats. Healthy fats, avocado, olive oil,
flax seeds, chia. Herbs and spices, many have natural anti-inflammatory properties. 2. Heal the gut that's been crying for help. Your digestive tract is more than a food processing center. It's where 70% of your immune system lives. When it's inflamed or damaged, everything suffers. To nourish it back to strength, sip bone broth regularly. It's rich in collagen, amino acids, and gut-repairing nutrients. Add in fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, or coconut yogurt, if tolerated. Consider gentle gut repair supplements like L-glutamine, zinc carnosine, and slippery elm, but always under professional guidance. 3. Reduce stress, not just for your mind, but for your gut. Chronic stress acts like a wrecking ball on your gut lining. It raises cortisol, reduces stomach acid, and makes your body less able to handle even safe foods. You don't have to become a monk, just start small. 5 minutes of deep breathing each morning, gentle walking in nature, journaling or prayer. Turning off screens at least 1 hour before bed. Your gut heals best in a calm, parasympathetic state. Create space for that. 4. Reintroduce with respect, not rush. After at least 3 to 4 weeks of healing, you may try reintroducing foods you previously removed, but go slowly. 1 food at a time, spaced several days apart. Notice how you feel, not just in your belly, but in your energy, skin, joints, and mood. Some foods may be tolerable in small amounts or occasional use. Others may need to stay off your plate for longer or permanently. The goal isn't to live in fear, it's to build trust with your body again. When to seek support. You don't have to figure this out alone. If your symptoms persist despite making changes, it might be time to team up with a professional who can go deeper. A functional medicine doctor can look at root causes and run in-depth labs. A registered dietitian with a focus on gut health can guide your food plan safely. A gastroenterologist can rule out serious conditions like IBD or SIBO. Don't settle for vague explanations like "you're just getting older." You deserve answers and relief. Final thoughts. Your body isn't betraying you. It's talking to you. Food is powerful. It can fuel you or fatigue you. It can heal or inflame. And sometimes the foods you were once fine with, cheese, bread, even eggs, start causing problems without warning. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means your body is asking for a different kind of care. And here's the best part. You're not stuck. With attention, curiosity, and support, you can start feeling clearer, lighter, stronger, even vibrant again. Because healing isn't about deprivation. It's about freedom. Freedom to feel good in your own body again. And that freedom, it starts on your plate.